Welcome, everyone, to 24/7 Sports. I am Tom Loy alongside the 105 guys themselves. We got Director of Scouting Andrew Ivins and National Analyst Cooper Patagna. Signing day is right around the corner, so we wanted to look at the 2025 recruiting classes all across the country and bring fans a look at their soon-to-be signees. We're going to hit a few superlatives and clearly state our take on many of these prospects. Today, we're looking at Alabama. The Crimson Tide currently have the number 2 ranked recruiting class in 2025. There are 23 commits set to play for head coach Kalen DeBoer. Andrew, we will start with you. Early draft pick potential. We're looking at a guy with elite traits now, but also one who could find himself being an early NFL draft selection.
Well, Tom, thanks for tossing me the fast break layup here. I'm going to go ahead and slam it home. Keelan Russell, our number 3 ranked player in the class of 2025. He's quarterback 3, but he has been one of the biggest risers for us throughout the entire recruiting process. We loved him when he was committed to SMU. We knew a bunch of schools were going to try to flip him from the ACC program. Alabama gets it done. I think he's an elite playmaker. We're talking about the MVP of the Elite 11 finals. I think this is a guy that not only can win with his arm, accurate to all 3 levels, over a 70% career completion percentage playing legit Texas 6A competition, but he's also a dynamic mover in the pocket. You go on his 24/7 sports profile, the player comp, you see Jaden Daniels, the former Heisman Trophy winner, who's having a heck of a rookie campaign. So for me, Keelan Russell, this was an easy one.
All right, I'm going to mix it up a little bit. My answer would have been Keelan Russell, but for the sake of, let's say, just diversity in the conversation, I'm going to go with Dejoun Lee, big 6'4" corner, over 190 pounds, lower body explosive kid. I think he's going to be a safety long-term. Drew thinks he can stick at corner. I don't think it really matters, Drew. We talked about guys like Derwin James, Malachi Starks in terms of player comparisons for guys like Dejoun Lee. He's really, really ramped it up as a senior. I think there are a lot of conversations. Is this guy going to be a 5-star? He took that decision completely out of our hands, one of our favorite players in this class. And this is a secondary, although talented, still very young. Obviously, you got pieces like Xavier Brown and Bakwe, Red Morgan. I think this is going to be another one of those guys that's really ready to playing a high level of comp over there in California. Also pretty old for his age. So I think he's physically ready to go. I'm excited about this one.
You could absolutely make an argument about Dejoun Lee. I think you can make an argument about offensive lineman Michael Carroll. I went with Keelan Russell for many of the reasons Ivan's already said. But day one impact, a guy who will see the field early and often in year one in Tuscaloosa. Who do you got, Coop?
I'm going to go with Michael Carroll, the big guy you just talked about. You know, he is a unique specimen, just jumped into 5-star status for us out of IMG Academy. Both his parents played at the collegiate level. His dad over, I believe, Drew, correct me if I'm wrong, I think his dad was at
Penn State,
mom at Michigan State. So wrestling background, wants to play guard. That's where he's going to be. I think when you see him off the hoof, you think tackle. But he actually fits the needs of this Alabama program. You think about Tyler Booker, Jaden Roberts. I think Booker going to be gone to Sundays after this year. So this is a young guy physically that can slide in next to a guy like Caden Proctor, anchor that left side of the line of scrimmage. Really, really high on this kid. He's got to clean some stuff up technically, but you know, one of the rare guys in this class at the offensive line that you feel really, really good about in terms of the floor being able to handle the physicality of the SEC right when he gets to campus.
I'm going to go with Michael Carroll as well. And there's kind of a trend here. If you look at the offensive linemen at IMG Academy that have gone to Tuscaloosa, they've all played as true freshmen, right? Evan Neal back in 2019, J.C. Latham in 2021, Tyler Booker as a true freshman in 2022. Alabama's had success with these individuals. Michael Carroll, he shows up at the Florida-based powerhouse back in August. We get a chance to see him, one of our biggest risers, now our number 1 ranked interior offensive lineman. Cooper, you said he's got to kind of clean it up from a technical standpoint. I think he's ready to go right now based on what I've seen. This guy is a nasty puller. When he climbs, he's looking to tattoo linebackers. And you said it, Alabama needs some help on the offensive line. Kalen DeBoer, wouldn't be surprised if they're in the transfer portal looking for some ready to play additions there in 2025. But I think Michael Carroll, there's no way that they're going to be able to redshirt him. He's a guy that's going to at least be in the 2 deep. And I'll add one other name. Hey, Keelan Russell, I know we talked about him, right? Guy that has a chance. I don't know what the plan is going to be there in Tuscaloosa post Jalen Milroe, but I think Keelan Russell, if you look at some of these other blue chip signal callers that we've seen come out of the high school ranks recently, Avery Johnson at Kansas State, they got his feet wet as a true freshman. He takes over in year 2. You look at Damon Williams up there at Washington, they continue to play him. I think Keelan Russell is going to have his name in the mix. Is he going to start week 1? I don't know if that's a recipe for success, but I think he too could provide some fireworks as a true freshman.
Keelan Russell, without a question, play in year 1. Mentally, he's ready. I went with a clean sweep. I went with offensive lineman Michael Carroll as well. He's just too good not to see the field. But boomer bust, an intriguing talent who could outperform their ranking or potentially underachieve, but looked at somewhat as a mystery. Ivans, who do you got, man?
Well, this is hard. I mean, most of Alabama's recruiting classes inside the top 247. I'm going to go with Justice Hill, edge rusher out of Ohio. This kind of kid reminds me a little bit of Dallas Turner, and it's because of when you see them in person. All right, they look more like a middle linebacker, but they get the job done out on the edge. He's at Winton Woods High School, all-time leader in sacks there. This guy finishes with authority, much like Dallas Turner did. We haven't had a ton of live exposure to him, currently not slated to play in any of the major postseason all-star events. So it's one of those ones where you like what you see on tape. You wish you could match that evaluation from the sky to an evaluation in person. So for me, Justice Hill, I could absolutely see him wrecking havoc in the SEC from the corner.
I'm going to go with Duke Johnson. This one's been really, really difficult for us to really kind of figure out throughout the entire evaluation process. We love the athlete. There's no question about what type of player this guy is and what he brings to the table from a physical traits perspective. But in terms of kind of putting him in the box of a second level defender, I think he's got a long way to go. I think it's fair to question the instincts. He kind of slid back in the rankings for us. And like I said, sideline to sideline ability, range, reactionary ability, we like. I also like the ability to potentially line up as a coverage defender, maybe do some man-to-man stuff. But I think this guy is going to take some time. This is such a feel subjective position when you're evaluating second level defenders. And I think for Duke Johnson, a guy that's playing a lower level of comp there in Georgia, he's a 3-phase player. He plays running back, he plays quarterback, receiver, play him off the edge, play him at the second level. He's definitely a guy that you want in your building, but in terms of acclimating to the position, I think he's going to take some time. So I got my eye on that one. And if it hits, it's going to hit in a major way. And if it doesn't, you might be sitting there scratching your head a little bit a couple years from now.
2 quick ones that popped in my head when we were doing this was tight end Marshall Pritchett. He's gotten better and bigger every single year. A lot to like there. And then receiver Lazier Brooks, just an absolute freak. He's small, obviously size concerns. But if that could end up being an All-American, it wouldn't shock me. Let's wrap this up with one more diamond in the rough. Give me a quick one. Who's a 3-star prospect for you guys right now who could surprise some people down the road and potentially find himself considered a high-level talent and maybe even drafted down the road?
I'm going to go with Lazier Brooks, right? Tom, you brought it up, freak athlete, all this stuff. A kid we don't have a ton of verified information on. I know he has set a ton of records up there in New Jersey. You turn on the highlight tape, you break down what he has done the past few years. It's kind of the same thing, right? He's just attacking leverage, going up against guys that aren't going to be playing college football. So for me, it's one where I could see this panning out, but at the same time, the last slot receiver that put up huge numbers from South Jersey is a kid by the name of JoJo Bermudez. He went to Cincinnati, washed out there. Now he's playing at Delaware. So for me, he's one where we're just trying to get him right. It could hit very well. It could also kind of flame out there. I don't think he's a Ryan Williams type talent right now. That would not be my evaluation on Brooks.
I had to choose between 2. I think Luke Metz is the guy that's more high floor. Obviously, a lot of teams sniffing around him, Oregon, Georgia, because of what he brings to the table, playing at a really respectable program there in Mill Creek. And we've seen these guys, Drew, you and I talked about this, these guys that play at these type of programs that have production year over year. Luke Metz would be one of those guys. It wouldn't surprise me if he's on the field maybe a little bit sooner than a guy like Duke Johnson. The other guy is London Simmons out of Mississippi, who I'm a huge fan of. Guy, it's a little bit of a stump, over 300 pounds, but can do some really nice things. Quick twitch, explosive, good first step, nimble body. I like what he can do. He's got a little bit more juice than what meets the eye. So Alabama, a couple guys hanging outside of the top 247 that are right there in that conversation. Those would be my 2 in Metz and Simmons.
I too went with defensive lineman Lennon Simmons. Big fan. He's super nasty. Excited to see him at some point here in the next couple weeks in person. But I think we can all agree, excellent first class for Kalen DeBoer. But that wraps it up. As I said before, we're going to continue hitting a bunch of schools leading up to December's early signing period. But for Andrew Ivins and Cooper Patagna, I am Tom Loy. Stay locked to 247sports.com.